skipping school.
Shh. We can walk back to school after we're done. We're only this first period. It won't take long, I promise. Besides, this is the only time we can go without them knowing we're there.
What if we don't make it back? What if there really is a ghost?
Shh. Hey, keep your voice down, will you? We're supposed to be at school right now.
I just don't know why we have to go anyways.
Don't you want to know if Mary was lying? We have to know the truth.
I felt a raindrop.
We're almost there. Just follow me around this corner.
This is where you creeping me out, Kyle.
Just stop looking at it then.
This is trespassing, Kyle. You're gonna get us caught.
Well, nobody ever discovered anything while staying at a safe distance. It's starting to rain now. Let's just go in. We came all this way. When Mary was telling everyone at recess about this cave being haunted, do you remember what she said? Where to go once we get in? Lynn!
What? No, I just remember to say not to be here anyways.
Oh, quit your crying already. I bet all we'll find here is a bunch of rocks and bats.
I hate bats!
Or a huge monster with big scaly feet.
Stop it!
Hey, did you see that? Look over there. Did you see that light? What was that?
Stop teasing me!
I'm being honest. I saw a flash. Hello? Is anybody there? Come on.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Let's just go over there and see. Watch out. There's a big hole to the right. Follow me. I think I see a red cross.
That's totally crazy. Why am I doing this? Look out!
Come with me, and you'll see what it means to finally know your place in time. So let's take a ride, and don't be shy, 'cause you don't wanna miss the show before you die. So bring all your friends, and we all will be in a time to spend inside a labyrinth of mystery. Please, don't you run away, 'cause I come to teach us another page on a wondrous page of your planet's natural history. Let's take a trip down natural history. Let's take a trip down natural history.
What just happened, Kyle?
I don't even know. We just bounced back. How's this happening?
How are we gonna get back out?
Don't worry, Lynn. We'll find a way. Do you hear that? There's a church over there. What is that church doing here? Maybe there's someone inside that knows the way out. Let's go.
A storm is coming. Mankind faces ruin and despair. The world is changing, yet hope remains in the hearts of the people. We go about our daily lives never knowing the forces that can change our destinies forever. We are oblivious, ignorant like sheep to the slaughter. This night, it marks the beginning of our journey together. A journey into darkness, a journey into madness. Lynn and Kyle Kawasaki. I have been waiting for you.
How did you know our name?
I knew the very moment you thought about coming here. You wished to seek and find me. Here I am.
Who are you?
I am the face of truth, the embodied soul of destruction and chaos, the very core of all that is rotten and unspeakable. And you two mammals should be in school right now.
I can explain.
So now, I have to teach you a lesson.
We didn't mean so just let us go!
Gather round, mammals. Stare into the crystal ball.
Hello. My name is Gina, and I will be the instructor for today's lesson.
Episode number 1.
What are birds?
What are the common characteristics that all reptiles share? They have a very thick, dry, scaly, waterproof skin, which helps them to live on land. And lizards have a movable eyelid help them see. And all reptiles are cold-blooded or
Ornithology is the study of apes, commonly known as birds. The bird species made their first appearance in our fossil record around 140 million years ago between the late Jurassic and early Cretaceous periods on our planet. This was a time known to geologists as the Mesozoic era, commonly known as the age of the dinosaur reign. Ironically, although birds are warm-blooded creatures, they have a number of characteristics that they share with reptiles. First, before we begin, it is important to know that genes are the chemical units in our DNA that command the specific kind of color, texture, and shape that our body forms into while developing as a fetus. The study of inheritance is called genetics. Everything from your hair and eye color, the number of toes you have, the layout of your organs and skeletal system, the shape of your teeth you chew with, are all traits that you have inherited from the direct ancestors of your family tree from both parents. This information is all stored chemically within our DNA and passed on to the next generation through sexual reproduction. If you see another person who has the same color, hair, and skin as yours, you can safely say that they share the same genes that you have in your DNA to recreate those specific features on their body. So therefore, you may share an ancestor with that person. Birds fly over our heads so fast that most people never really get a chance to truly see them up close, unless you own one as a pet. But if you did see them up close, one of the first things you would notice about their anatomy is that they blink sideways with a third eyelid as observed with most reptiles. This transparent eyelid is called the nictitating membrane, and although some creatures like cats, dogs, polar bears, seals, camels and sharks also have the ability to blink with this third eyelid, this genetic trait is a dominant feature among reptiles. Another characteristic birds have in common with reptiles is their nostrils connect to a hole deep within the roof of their mouth, which is perfectly aligned with a slit in their tongue. This tiny slit in the tongue is actually a vent into the creature's windpipe, which connects the lungs to the fresh air on the outside of the body. What this means is that both birds and reptiles cannot breathe out of their nostrils unless their mouth is closed. This breathing system is very unique and unlike the type of throat we would expect to see in mammals. In our bodies, the windpipe, or trachea, is positioned behind the tongue deep down into our throats and connected simultaneously to both our mouths and our nasal cavity. This allows us to use our nostrils to breathe with our mouth open, or closed. The windpipe in birds and reptiles, however, continues straight into the tongue and opens up on the top surface directly underneath the hole in the roof of its mouth. This allows air to be sucked in, or pushed out, through the nostrils only while the creature's mouth is closed. Take a good look at these two examples. On the left is the opened mouth of an American turkey. On the right is the inside of an African spurred tortoise's mouth. Note how identical. This means they have the same genes in their oral anatomy, yet one is a bird, and the other is a cold-blooded reptile. When you step back and look at the entire animal kingdom on planet Earth, you will find that reptiles are the dominant species that sport these specific genes to create this distinctive breathing system. This means that these genes that we see in birds belong to the ancient genes in the great big family tree of reptiles. While we're still inside of the mouth of this emu, make sure you take a good look at those bumpy ridges along the edges of its beak. That's very odd. They look like weak teeth that are slowly disappearing from its genetic code. Many birds, like Canadian geese, ducks, mergansers, swans, and emus, of course, have bumpy ridges just like this inside of their beaks. Think to yourself for a second, and ask yourself, what good are teeth on an animal that swallows most of its food whole? These teeth certainly aren't sharp or long enough to cut flesh or grind up vegetation. Why are they there in the first place? What purpose do they serve? Think about those questions for just a second, please. Okay. In the late Cretaceous period, 70 million years ago, many birds had teeth in their beaks back then. But instead of being small and bumpy, their teeth were sharp and pointy enough to pierce flesh. Fossils show us that birds with teeth were common in the past, and modern-day birds show us that the last ones left with remnants of teeth prove that they have been shriveling out of their genes with time. Here are some other interesting facts about birds. Unlike mammals, which have their reproductive organs and urethra both separated from their rectum, reptiles and birds both have an organ called a cloaca, which functions as both their reproductive organ, urethra, and rectum at the same time. Birds also lay eggs, instead of giving birth like mammals, which is a very primitive method of delivering their offspring to the world. Reptiles have been laying eggs like this since they first adapted to life on land 320 million years ago into the past from your modern-day world, the time known as the late Carboniferous period. As you dissect the anatomy of birds, you continually find more clues that point towards a reptilian origin. For example, birds also have a pair of ears which are very similar to what we find on reptiles. Birds also have skeletal similarities to reptiles in the structure of their lower jaw or mandible. They both have a bone on the back of their skull called the occipital condyle. This bony bump acts as a hinge that attaches the back of the head to the neck. Compared to mammals, this bone allows more flexibility and a much wider range of motion. Some birds are able to rotate their necks a full 270 degrees. Imagine that. That would be like turning your head to the right and spinning it straight into your 9 o'clock position.
The more you study the anatomy of organisms, the more obvious it becomes that living things evolved.
So, finally, the most obvious physical characteristic that all birds share with reptiles is that all birds, except for owls, possess scales and scutes all over their toes and feet. Allow me to repeat that one more time. The majority of birds have scales. Yes, I said scales. All over their feet. These scales are similar to the mosaic patterns that one would find on the skin of a crocodile, but these are found on a warm-blooded creature though. How on earth can this be possible? How did reptile skin get on a warm-blooded animal? I'll tell you how these scales got on their feet. They were simply born with them. As we discussed in the beginning of this lecture, genes are the chemical units in your DNA that order your cells to form specific structures and organs within our body as you develop within your mother's egg after conception. The reason birds have scales is because the genes in their feet are still programmed to create them. This can only mean one thing. Birds have genes within their DNA that are still predominantly reptilian. This is physical proof that you can see for yourself with your own eyes, which boldly screams out the clear reptilian origin in the family history of AIDS. Birds had gotten these scales from their great-grandparents from long ago. The same exact way that you got your hair and fingernails from your great-grandparents long ago. They were just inherited and passed along from one generation to the next generation. This means, in prehistoric times, the ancestors of birds were most likely covered from head to toe in scales at one point in history. So, their feet are simply just the last section of their body to retain these scaly genes and have not faded out of their gene pool yet. Just like the teeth in some birds have not completely faded away from the gene pool yet. Does that make sense? Good. Congratulations, you have now discovered that birds have descended from reptiles. So, now that we've determined that birds have reptilian genes woven in their DNA, let's now identify exactly which reptile that birds descended from. What do you think? Were turtles the ancestors of birds? Well, although most turtles do possess toothless beaks like a bird, this answer would be incorrect though. What about crocodiles and alligators? Were these the ancestors of birds? You're getting warmer. Crocodiles are the closest modern living relative to birds, but birds did not descend directly from crocodiles. Think about what prehistoric reptile that you know walked upright on its hind legs like a bird does. If you thought about a dinosaur, then you are right. Birds descended from the meat-eating dinosaurs that we call theropods, or theropoda. The theropod is something like a velociraptor or tyrannosaurus. We know that birds belong to the dinosaur family because of all of their vast overwhelming similarities that we observe in both of their skeletal systems. If you compare the tooth skeletons of both dinosaur and bird side by side together, it should become absolutely obvious to you that these two are a perfect match and share the same code in their DNA to recreate the same exact blueprint in their bones. If you compare the two skeletons of both dinosaur and bird side by side together, it should become absolutely obvious to you in their bones. These two are a perfect match and share the same code in their DNA to recreate the same exact blueprint in their bones. And share the same code in their DNA to recreate the same in their bones. So it's clear that these two skeletons belong to the same family tree. But having similar bones weren't the only common traits between these two animals. We also have fossils of dinosaurs which have preserved the impression of feathers along their bodies. The majority of feathered dinosaurs are found in China, hinting to us that Asia might be the original continent that early birds first adapted to life in the trees. The oldest fossil on record of a bird with feathered wings dates back to around 150 million years ago, found in late Jurassic rock. This specimen, discovered in Berlin, Germany, back in 1861, is the most completely preserved fossil of this amazing prehistoric animal. The name scientists gave this species is Archaeopteryx, which is Latin for ancient wing. But is Archaeopteryx really an extinct species of bird? I think you should take another look at this fossil. Yes, at first glance Archaeopteryx would only appear to be a bird to someone who is not trained in bird anatomy. Because right away, we know that modern birds do not have long dinosaur-like tails connected to the back of their hips. Modern birds also have a firmly stiffened back, where the discs in their spines are fused together. This creature clearly had freely moving discs. A bird could not bend and flex their back in this way. And under a magnifying glass you will see that this creature had sharp lizard-like teeth with a short round snout instead of a beak. Modern birds do not have sharp teeth made of enamel in their mouths. And finally, modern birds do not have 3 long clawed fingers poking out of the ends of their wings. Although this creature has feathered wings, just like a bird, Key facts about its anatomy tell us that it was more like a small theropod dinosaur with feathers, instead. More closely related to dinosaurs like Velociraptor and their kin. This is what Archaeopteryx would have looked like alive, gliding high up in the trees back in the late Jurassic period. Without its feathers, we can have a better view of the dinosaurian traits that it kept on its body. Right away we see that its wings were really just its arms with hands. So now let me ask you, have you ever eaten the chicken wing with clawed scaly fingers sticking out of the end before? I don't think so. Instead we find that the majority of modern birds do not have functionable fingers, or claws at the end of their wings. However, their hands look like deformed versions of Archaeopteryx's hands once you've noticed that birds still have these same 3 bones, which had once been their fingers, and are now just left over from a time long ago when they once had functioning dinosaur hands. The hand bones in modern birds have become fused together and now look as if the bones have been shrunken and melted away. Back in the Jurassic period, early birds like Archaeopteryx used these long fingers to grip to tree bark with their claws and climb high away from dangerous predators on the ground. The same way squirrels climb with their claws today. Archaeopteryx also lacked the chest plate and flight muscles which flying birds have today that are necessary for powered flight. Since these parts were missing, it meant that they were not strong enough to flap their wings and take off into the air from the ground up. Instead, their bodies were built to climb high up in the trees and parachute down on their open wings across the forest. Just like a flying squirrel does today. So after gaining more information about Archaeopteryx's anatomy, it should be obvious now what this means after close examination. This creature should not be classified as a true bird by today's definition. With its blunt snout full of dinosaur teeth, its long bony tail, and its clawed talons on its feathered wings, these observations would class Archaeopteryx as a transitional species between dinosaur and bird. You are now staring at the great-grandparent of all living birds of the future. This is the exact moment in history when birds began their rise to the top of planet Earth's biosphere as their own individual species. So, it isn't really true to state that dinosaurs went completely extinct. The Maniraptora group of the dinosaur family are still with us, living well in the form of birds today. So, now that we've completed the puzzle and covered all of those details, let us now answer the question, what are birds? Birds are advanced warm-blooded reptiles and are the only living survivors from the great dinosaur family tree, which had tragically fallen to the fate of extinction in 99.5% of their members. This great mass extinction happened around 65 million years ago in a fatal asteroid impact with the Earth at the end of the Cretaceous period. This event destroyed almost all of life on our planet, and birds are the only dinosaurs left that survived this catastrophic event in history. Scientists place the bird species inside a specific dinosaur family group called Maniraptorans, which was a family group of feathered theropod dinosaurs which included all early forms of birds and raptors. Now you know why scientists keep saying that birds are dinosaur descendants. Never again will you be ignorant.
Passed out in midair and splashed into a lagoon and sank to the very bottom. The air was toxic and poisonous. down hard and sealed it extra tight.
This is real. You need to call some kind of tree or something. You need to go home. Get out there. You need to go home.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you very much, sir. But we need to go now.
You don't believe me?
Yes, I do.
Don't. I hear your thoughts.
Well, all this stuff was cool and all, but I just choose to believe in what I want to
So
believe.
for the rest of your life, you're going to ignore that birds have reptilian scales on their feet, Guile.
No, those are bird scales.
Bird scales. Yes, birds do possess scales, but no different to the skin of a lizard. And coelurosaur dinosaurs had feathers like the plumage on birds. What more do you need to see the connection?
Well, I sure never seen a dinosaur with feathers for myself before. How do I know you're not lying? You're not even real.
Well, you've never actually seen the creation of the universe for yourself, have you? Yet you never ask your elders to see the proof of their faith in the same way you just did here with me.
Well, that's different.
And I am real. I am as real as your aging face. You just hate to look at me and push me away from your thoughts. Well, look away if you like, mammal, but pay close attention to my words. I'm breaking every rule by sharing this with you tonight. So don't whip your tongues to another soul.
I promise. I won't tell anybody.
I possess a gateway that passes straight through time itself. I literally can take you back to any point in history. To the day you were born, or even back to the exact day this fossil was laid out and started forming. An honest window to everything that ever happened. Anything that passed through time did not escape unrecorded. You can see for yourself that I'm not lying. I can show you the way. But there's only one problem.
What is it?
You cannot pass into the river of time as a mortal. Your heavy bodies are weighing you down and embedding you into the now. I will have to remove your souls from those bodies if you agree to come with me. But I promise you, I will place you back once you finish peering into the past. It'll be as if you were sleeping.
Forget it. Just let us go home. We don't trust you.
Home. Where it's warm and safe.
Nobody ever discovered anything while staying at a safe distance. Don't you want to know if Mary was lying? We have to know the truth.
You came here seeking the truth. And when you found it, you could not handle it. So get out! Get out! And do not return until you're ready to know instead of believe.
What just happened, Kyle? Yeah, I don't know. It's like he flipped gravity or something.
Run for your lives, mammals.
Look, we could walk back up now. Look, let's go.
Do you hear that?
He what? Lynn, run towards the light now!
Hey, wait for me!
Lynn, don't look back! We're almost there! You ready to jump? Speed up! Almost there! Almost there! What just happened? Lynn, you're alive! I just saw that dinosaur eat you!
Oh no. I dreamt that this is wrong.
How did this happen? How did we just go to sleep out of nowhere, Lynn? That makes no sense! We have to go home. Let's just get out of here. We should have never come here.
That's what I was saying.
Anything that passed through time do not escape unrecorded. Come with me, and you'll see what it means to finally know your place in time. So let's take a ride, and don't be shy. You don't wanna miss the show before you die. So bring all your friends, and we all will be in a timeless band inside a labyrinth of mystery, please. Don't you run away, cause I come to teach us another age on a wondrous page of your planet's natural history. Let's take a trip down natural history. Let's take a trip down natural history. Please just stay, don't be afraid. I just want to open up your mind so you can wander. So come with me, and you all will see what it finally means to know your planet's natural history.